we get into this, I just want to point out some of the rules that I got wrong. First was the elements that are teams. An element that is team, so the bar team, it's a 3-character team, but they all perform actions as one character, which is why they get 4 action points. So the deal with them is when they go below 50% strength, that team is taken off the table. So you'll see that kind of waffled on that rule back and forth. Eventually did the right thing, but that's that. Also, when weapons have more than one d20 for their damage tokens, you roll 3 dice and you pick the highest. In the case of an LMG, that affects a range of 3 by 2. So each miniature in that 3 by 2 range would have 3 dice thrown at it, taking the highest damage result. I kind of fumbled that a little bit as well. Some other random things, I'm holding D20 in my hand and I called it D6. That's exciting. I know the difference. This game is a D6 based game. So I say D6, I mean D20. Orientation of the camera. I was super excited to get sucked in and start playing this game and demonstrate the rules. Oriented the camera the correct way starting after turn 1. So please just deal with me on that. This is our first battle report. It was a lot of fun and I look forward to doing more. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Decisive Operations. Today we're going to be playing Mission 2 for Ultracombat Normandy, Advance the Contact. Forces as they're shown in the rulebook. They have a deliberate layout of what the board's supposed to look like, and we have condensed that here just to kind of showcase the rules and do a playthrough to follow up our rulebook review. Alright, we'll get started. Just to showcase how activations go in this game, each element has an element card, and each force has a doctrine card that they draw at every turn, and you can either play it and get the effects on the card, or you can use it to accelerate whether or not you activate earlier than your opponent. The German force consists of a average NCO element, which is 1 character, a novice junior NCO element, 1 character, an average heavy weapons team, MG42, 3-character element, and 1 average rifleman element, which is 4 characters, and the card they drew, which was defense. So this card will actually be useful for them to use first turn. American forces consist of a veteran NCO element with 1 character, an average scout element, 2 scouts, average junior NCO element, 1 character, average heavy weapon team, bar, that'll be 3 characters, and a novice rifleman element, 5 characters. I'll have to go and pull the card for the scouts because it's not shown here, but the doctrine card that they drew was fighting in built up areas. Not really useful, as the first couple turns would be the American forces making their way to the village. So more than likely they will use that just to accelerate whether or not they activate first that turn. The German forces have chosen to activate a average rifleman squad using the defense doctrine card. The Americans have chosen to activate their average scouts. Normally average versus average would be a draw, tie going to the Americans in this scenario because they're attacking. However, the use of the Doctrines and Tactics cards will give the Germans advantage. So let's see what the Germans do with their activation. So the German NCO is located right here by the barn. He's in the field gray uniform. He has to maintain 10-inch unit coherency, which he has right now. And each miniature can activate independently. However, just to speed up the play of the game, as long as they're doing similar actions, we're going to activate them all together. So here we have the German Rifleman Squad. They have yet to activate. Here is the junior NCO for the Germans. He hasn't joined the squad yet. That's actually an action point to do that. So this squad, each miniature has 3 active action points. We'll use them all together here just to kind of showcase the game and get it moving. But what's going to happen is the German infantry are going to move up 1 action point per 6 inches, get into an advantageous position, and take cover. So we'll go back and see how that looks at the end of the turn. German rifle team advanced. Kind of left one of their guys out in the open here to maintain unit coherency of 10 inches. We're not calling this urban terrain, otherwise urban terrain would, I believe, that bring that down to 4 inches, 4 or 5 inches. So he's patrolling down the road, and his squad mates are patrolling to the left and to the right of him to try to identify any type of U.S. activity. And you have the machine gun team sitting in there ready to attack once they're identified. All right, let's see what the scouts do. All right, the American scouts moved onto the board and came in, crossing this open field to get into the tall grass. However, the German MG team was able to spot them as they kind of came out on the board, catching them completely open. I guess the scouts were blinded by the sun there, so you can kind of see that window open. So this will be a good chance to test the interrupt mechanic. So the MG42 team declares interrupt at the end of the move. Scouts move up here. So the MG42 team is going to declare their interrupt right here. So we'll move that one miniature back, just for an example. All right, so that's where the interruption happened. The MG42 team card is pulled, so they cannot be activated again. They're going to be able to make one attack. Since they're in the open, they're going to be spotted automatically. If they had any cover or concealment, they would not be spotted. But they're in the open, and I don't believe the scout special rule is going to help them here. Yeah, since the height advantage there negates the intervening cover, we're going to say they're spotted. All right, so no spot roll is required, so that would be the I. So moving right on the chart, you have the gun. So that's a 12 plus 2 to all firearm skills. So their skill is a 14. And the enemy is moving, which is going to be a -4 modifier. But the fire is a level higher being in that building. So +4, -4. So 1d20, looking for a 14 or under to score a successful hit. And they do with a 4, which is fortunate. All right, so now we're going to make a firepower roll, and let me just double check those rolls real quick. All right, so a light machine gun is going to roll 3d20, and it will have an effective range of 3 inch by 2 inch. So while he's aiming at that guy he saw in the open, everybody within a 3 by 2 box of him will be affected. So both miniatures can be affected. Still just 3 dice can be distributed any which way. And then this is what we're looking for here. You have your status damage. All right, so for 1 to 6, they'll be hesitant. To a 7 to 12, they'll be pinned. And a 13 up will be a kill. And since this is an LMG, they're automatically going to get 1 suppressive token. All right, so let's roll the dice, see what happens. All right, we have a 12, a 5, and a 14. So one of those guys is going to be combat ineffective, taken out, and then they'll take the highest result, which will be pinned. So we'll apply those modifiers, move the miniatures up, and we'll come right back. All right, so the lone scout is in his position. He's firm. He survived the barrage, but he's going to have to make a morale test. That's at morale markers 4. He is suppressed, so there'll be additional modifiers, and you put the move token there. So just in case anyone else is going to fire at him, they know that he moved, so we can get all modifiers for that. So this won't take effect until the next activation for him, but he's going to be pretty hard to activate with all the negative morale modifiers for him. One good thing that came out of that is that a weapon with suppressive fire, or with suppression, the MG42 is fired, so that would make it easier for Americans this turn to spot that as they come onto the board. All right, so that is the first activation phase of the first turn. We'll go to see the second activation phase. All right, so American forces have chosen a heavy weapons team to be activated, while the Germans have chosen their junior NCO, who's over there behind the building, to be activated. That junior NCO is a novice, and even though it says a novice there on the heavy weapons team, that is an average heavy weapons team. So the Americans will have a priority of activation for this phase. So we'll see what the bar team does. All right, so the bar team activates from the right side of the board, moving left, 12 inches. So 2 activations is going to get them to the edge of the woods, which is going to be enough for them to draw a line of sight down the table to the German building. All right, and since it's a team, this element has 4 activations. They use 2 to move 12 inches. So they're going to make a spot roll to spot the MG42 team. All right, so since they move, they're going to be a -4. And since the attacker is the attacker is lower, so they're going to be -6. The Germans fired a suppressive weapon, so that's going to get them at a +6. So those negate, but the Germans are in concealment, so it's going to be -6. Average troops have a spot value of 12. So it says 10 there, but it's really 12. So they'll be needed a 6. We will use 1 activation point, so 2 to advance, 1 to spot, and then another 1 to give them +4. So looking for a 10 or under to spot. And teams that are elements, or elements that are teams, are considered 1 model. So for activation, so not each of the miniatures get 4, just the barman gets 4. So looking for a 10. They do not get it on a 19. So bar team advances, is unable to get it, and kind of just left out there in the wind. All right, German NCO will activate now. German NCO advances for 1 action point up to here. Goes firm, so take better advantage of that small amount of cover he has in the building, and then is within 10 inches, so is going to join this squad. So they'll activate together, and he is the squad leader for them. This element. So next time the element gets played, the NCO card will come out with the rifleman team. And while that will reduce the amount of activations the Germans have, it will increase the combat effectiveness and the leadership of the German rifle squad. So overall, good strategy there to kind of have an NCO to anchor your team, especially if you expect them to take contact. All right, next phase. All right, so for this phase, the Germans activate an average NCO, and the Americans activate a average junior NCO. This will give the Americans the initiative, but all they're doing with their junior NCO is moving him 2 movements onto the board, and then having him go firm. So what he's going to do, he's not going to join the squad yet, but he's going to be able to give them additional activation points to help them spot. And conversely, over here, this NCO who's in the bottom of this building, I don't know if you can see that peeking through the window or the door there, he's going to actually join that MG42 squad. So he has enough action points because he's not moving to go firm and join that squad, while the American NCO did not have enough action points. So that will give them bonuses when they have to take the morale test. They're eventually going to come because while the Americans have not spotted them yet, it's only a matter of time before they spot the machine gun team at the 2nd level of the building. All right, so we'll go for what's going to be, the Germans actually have no more activations, so we'll just do back-to-back American activations, and that'll end turn 1. All right, so the Americans are kind of clumping up here, but they're going to have to move quickly. Now they kind of lost the advantage of surprise. So you have a veteran NCO that activated, and a novice rifleman group. Novice riflemen are going to use all 3 of their activation points to move 18 inches up the board. I'm trying to get as spread out as possible as I can, going through that scout squad. German NCO is going to move up 2, and then he's going to join himself into the squad. So next time they activate, both cards will come out, and they'll get the benefit of the veteran, which should give them priority to activate over the Germans, unless the Germans burn one of their activations card. So risky maneuver here by the Americans these guys are not firm, so they're in concealment, not cover. So if they get spotted, they're going to have very minimum bonuses, or I guess negative modifiers applied to them against the MG42 team. But now that they lost initiative, the Americans got to move and close that gap. Americans are going to hang on to their fighting in built up areas card, I believe, or actually they can just burn it and hope to draw a better card. All right, so Americans, not real good use of their doctrines and tactics cards here. And I guess a good example in turn 1, the use of cover in this game, because those scouts, even though they made it to concealment, no cover and concealment, and German MG team in Overwatch, or actually not even in Overwatch, just standing in the building, looking down the bowling alley here, we're able to see them and significantly provide covering fire for their advancing infantry. All right, so the name of this game is definitely deliberate movements and using terrain to your advantage. So I'm glad we got to see that turn 1. All right, so I'm going to clean up the board and we'll move on to turn 2. Turn 2. So just a point of clarification, on the rule book on page 69 talks about making and breaking teams. Teams can actually be formed before the game starts. So a slight error on my part using the 1 XP or the 1 action point to make a team. It's actually 3 action points to make a team, but they can be made before the game. So just to keep things going, we'll say those teams, that NCO with this rifle team, and then the NCO inside the building with the MG team is going to be pre-formed before the game. All right, so to start the game, to start the turn 2, Americans thought about making a team out of that scout squad with a rifle squad, except the modifiers would be so bad because -1 for the morale test, -2 for losing a man, and then -6 for suppression. So you'd be -9. The veteran NCO would give them a +3, putting him at a 6, and then testing on his morale will be a 12. That's a 60% chance they pass. However, 40% chance that they fail, and potentially that entire squad, the entire maneuver element of the American forces is put down. So Americans chose not to do that, so they're going to activate their veteran NCO, who's leading their novice riflemen. However, the Germans are going to use their infiltration card with the rifleman and junior NCO, and even though the Americans have the experience over the Germans use the tactics card will give them initiative in this phase. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, so German rifle platoon, rifle squad. You have the guy over here, move, went firm behind that tree. See if he could proc to interrupt from that bar team, but bar team chose to not interrupt. They have more pressing targets with the MG42. The NCO, he actually gave 2 action points to this guy within 10 inches of him. Get him in frame. So he'll have 2 additional action points. With 1 action point, he went back, went firm. So he has used 2 and will have 3 more remaining. And then you have this guy right here who's remaining firm. No action points necessary for that. And then he's going to try to spot the Americans. All right, so we'll get to those dice rolls. All right, so the Americans are firm in concealment, so that's going to be a -10 to the spot roll for this German. However, they are moving, so that'll be a +4 to spot, so it brings it back to a -6. And since the German has 2 activation points, actually, no, he's not going to do that. So it's just going to be -6. So the German, for spotting, is in a 16. So looking for a 10 on a single dice. And he gets it with a 3. All right, so the German has effectively spotted that American soldier right there. So what he's actually going to do with his 1 action point is he's going to pass on information to his buddy who's retreated back there behind the wall. And that guy has 3 action points left. So he passed information, letting him know there's an American over there. No spot roll will be required for that. I'm sorry, a spot roll is going to be... let me go check that and come right back. Yep, so the passing of information is actually going to give a +4 to that German soldier over there to spot that American soldier in the field. All right, so he has 3 action points to use here because the NCO gave him extra action points. It's going to be a -2, so he's going to be seeing him at a 14 with all the modifiers taking place there. So he's just going to roll that stat straight up, see what happens. Gets it on a 2. All right, so he spots him. So now we'll make a firepower roll. The rifleman's firepower is a 12. And if we come over here to our quick reference sheet, The target is moving, so now the target number is an 8. The attacker moved, so the target number is a 4. And actually not looking really good. Target has gone firm, which it has, so now it's a 2. So we'll use that additional action point that we have left over to make it a 6. So a 6 surrender for that German. Maybe they should have thought about this before they did it, but let's see what happens. 15, no hit there. However, they were fired at, so that'll be a morale marker for them. All right, and we'll go see what the American squad does. So the Americans will make a morale test, -1 for the morale tokens by them for being shot at. However, they are with a veteran NCO, so it'll be +3, so +2, and they're going to take the veteran NCO, so the morale is a 20. So as long as they don't roll a natural 20, they'll pass. All right, they pass on a 6, so they'll be able to activate as normal. We'll go ahead here and activate them. All right, so the Americans moved. The lead guy in the squad moved up here. Let me get the pointy stick out. Lead guy in the squad moved up here. Move, gone firm. Yeah, this guy who did a move, did not go firm. NCO just did a move. Move and go firm here, and move, go firm for here. So we'll do a spot roll for this guy to the German NCO up there. So the attacker is moving, so -4. The attacker is lower, -6, and is behind concealment. So it's going to be a -12. -12, and their stat is a 14 because they're novice. Going to be pretty hard, but nothing else to do here for him. -18. So he didn't spot him, but he is firm behind the stack of box there. All right, so we have this NCO right here who's going to give his 2 remaining action points over to that soldier. So that soldier will have 3 action points. So use one of them to spot this guy, this German right here behind the fence. All right, so he moved an attacker for -4. The target's in concealment for -10. And the target has gone firm, so -14. So he'll use additional AP. So this will cost 2 AP from to do it, but we'll get a +4. So it'll be -10. And his spot is a 14. So looking for a 4. Cranks it with the 2. All right, so he spots him. Now he's going to take a shot at him now that he spotted him. So firepower check. So this will be his last AP. Firepower of 10. Shooting modifiers. Target is moving. Or attacker is moving is -4. So it'll bring him down to a 6. And then cover -6. So really, a natural 1 is the only thing that's going to hit here. Natural 1 always hits. But it'll be a shot, so it'll give them a morale marker. Close. Hot dice. Oh, so close. It's a 2, so that will give them a morale marker, and that will be the end of the Americans' turn. Next phase, Germans are going to activate their MG team, and the Americans are going to activate their bar team, but they're going to play their tactics card. So that's going to give them the priority here. So the NCO all the way in the corner, if you can see him, he's going to give 2 action points to the bar team. So that's going to give them 6. And with his 1 action point, he's going to see if he can spot that German soldier who just moved. So the target is moving, so it's going to be +4 to spot. He's in concealment, -6, so that brings a total to -2. And then he went firm, so it's going to be -6. NCO can spot on a 16, so with all the modifiers, he's looking for a 10. 4. So he spots him. Can't do anything about it right now, but he spots him. Now we'll go to the bar team. Bar team has 6 action points. They're going to try to spot the MG team. The MG team is higher than them, so it's going to give them a -2. They're in concealment, so it's going to give them a total of -8. But they fired a suppressive weapon. And that suppressive weapon is +6. So -2 to their roll to C. They are a regular team, so they're going to be a 16. So they're going to see in a 14. And we're not going to try to add 4 to this. So let's try to go 1 dice, get a 14. 13. All right. So they spot them. They have 5 activations left. They are going to shoot at them with their bar. Their firepower is a 12. Targets in cover, -6 modifier. Attacker did not move. Attacker is lower though, so it's going to be a -8. Alright, so a -8 to the firepower roll of 12, but they have a special rule that gives +2 to the firepower roll. Yep, so it's a -8 to 14. So they would normally need a 6. We have 5 action points left. Actually 4 action points for this action for shooting. So we're going to burn another action point on them, bring it to 3. And we'll make that number from a 6 to a 10. Alright, so in a firepower roll of a 10, they can hit. Alright, so that was cocked. Let me just do that again. That was dumb. Alright, 2. They hit him. Now we look at our weapons chart here. That is a bar, so M1918 bar 2d6. And it affects everybody within it can affect people within a 2d6 radius. Alright, so we're gonna not worry about that because it's a team. So normally you would have 2d6 for each of these guys. I did that wrong in turn 1. Each guy would get a damage roll. However, it's an element that's a team, and their NCO is on the bottom level, so he's not targeted by it. So this is just considered one model, one targeting. So we'll go 2d6 for damage. And they get an 18. Alright, so they kill a man in there, and a 6. So the 6 is actually going to be going to make them hesitant, and then one guy is going down. And then let's make those modifiers onto them, and we still have 3 activation points left for that bar team. With their 3 activation points left, the bar team is going to fire again, which is going to be, it's going to cost 2 action points to fire multiple times. And then they're going to use their last activation point to give them a +4 modifier, just like they did in the previous shot. So again, they're looking for a 10 on a d20. All right, and it's 20. That's a natural miss. All right, so they put a morale token onto the MG team. They killed a man, which is going to give them -2 for the rest of the game. And then it also made them hesitant, which is going to be -4 to their skills until they drop that. So we'll see how that team activates coming here. All right, so before the MG team can activate, they're going to have to take a morale test. So they have a morale marker for being shot at, and they lost the man, which is going to be a -2 permanent. So it's going to be -3. However, they have an average NCO, which gives them a +2. So it's going to be -1 to the NCO's value of 14. So looking for a 13. They rolled a 1, so they passed. All right, they're going to be able to activate as normal. They are now prone, because they drop prone when they're hesitant, and they're going to be -4 to all skill rolls. So what are they going to do? That NCO on the bottom floor, he's going to give them 2 more action points, giving them 6 action points. And he's going to have to take, the MG team's going to have to take care of the bar team. Kind of the same way the bar team took care of them. We'll see what happens. So they'll try to spot. They're higher, so they're going to get +4. Yeah, and the bar team didn't go firm because they went all out to try to kill that team right there. So they'll get the +4 for being at a higher elevation, and then -6 for target and concealment. So -2 total to spot, which isn't bad. It's 14, and they have 6 points. So they're just going to try to hard roll a 14 here. 12. So they spot the bar team. Now they're going to fire upon the bar team. They are firepower of a 14. Heavy weapons team gets +2 to the firepower skills. So that makes a average shooter, instead of a 12, makes them a 14. and they're going to get a +4 modifier for being higher, but a -6 modifier for the other team being in cover. So it's going to be a -2 total modifier, bring it back down to a 12. So we use an action point to spot, and that'll bring us to a 5. And then we'll use 2 action points, bringing us to a 3. So they have, if I can find it, I'm about to give up. Okay, we'll stop doing that. But they have 3 action points left. They're going to get +4, so they're going to be hitting on a 16. All right, 10. So they hit, and that's 3d6, and that's a 3-inch by 2-inch radius. So the NCO is actually out. If you can see that there, if I put the camera in frame. NCO is out of range, but it will hit that element. So that's 3d6 on the element. And you know what? I forgot to do the hesitant rule, which would be -4. But they rolled a 10, and they were looking for a 12 before they took the +4 modifier. So it actually hits. So the math is wrong, but the result remains the same. And this is a damage roll, so this will not take a -4. All right, 1, 3, 10. So that's going to make them pinned. So they got away kind of lucky there. Only going to take a pin token, pin marker. But the team has 3 action points left. So they're going to take another shot. And that will cost 2 action points. And they will pump up their skill +4 with the remaining action point. So that brings back our target number to a 12. And an 8. So they hit. 3d6 for the LMG. And they get their 14. So they get 114. And that's actually gonna, they're already pinned. So they're gonna take a suppression token. Actually, they'll take 2 suppression tokens for each time that they're fired on. I'm gonna go double check that, and they'll take the pin token, and they'll lose 1 guy. So they'll have to take a morale test next time they try to activate with some significant modifiers. All right, so let me just go double check to see if those suppression tokens stack. All right, so the pin tokens will not stack as far as I can see, because pin will equal something. Basically, if they don't pass their next morale test, they are going to be just sitting down for the next turn. They're going to take 2 morale markers, though, and then they'll take the 2 suppressed tokens for being shot at by a suppressive weapon. All right, so we'll clean up the table, and we'll come back with turn 3. Actually, nope, I lied. The scout element has to activate. So the American scout element, there's 1 of them left. It's an average squad, so they're a 12. And he's going to have to take a morale test. So he's suppressed for a -6. He is in concealment, not cover, so no bonus there. And then -6 for that, -1 for that. So -7, and then a -2 for losing a man. So he's going to be -9. So you're going to have to roll a 3 or under. He rolls an 8. So they fail. He needed a 3 or under. So fail by 5. Yep, fail by 5, so he's going to go firm. The element can, but doesn't have to, move up to 6 inches to find the best cover. This may be toward the enemy for 1 AP. Then they can go firm. They're using cover to the maximum advantage. They'll get a +4 modifier. And they can fire at previously spotted enemies at a -4 to all skills. He's not spotted anybody yet. So he can move 6 inches to find the best cover. So he's just going to move up, take his position, probably right up here, and then go firm. All right, so that's turn 2. We'll come back, clean the table, and start with turn 3. So we'll go to the next turn. The Americans are going to get the initiative. They're playing a tactics card, so are the Germans, except when you go down to it, they're being the Americans are being led by a veteran, NCO. So they'll activate first against the Germans. And the Germans trying to activate that MMG team or that LMG team, even though they're hesitant, see if they can try to stop the Americans' advance right here in this turn. All right, let's see what the Americans do with their turn. All right, so the squad member squatting behind the boxes has already identified that German NCO up there. So he's going to pass that information to his buddy right there on the right for 1 XP, and then he's going to take a shot. All right, he's not moving. The attacker is higher though, so it's going to be a -2 for him to hit and then cover. -8, and that NCO over there has gone firm. So it's going to be -12. -12 to hit, so he is going to use a point of XP, a point of AP to bring it to a -8. So he's going to pump up his stat by 4. So with an 8 though, that's going to make his skill, -8, that's going to make his skill a 10. So looking for a 1 or a 2. He gets a 1. All right, wow. Not a lucky day for the Germans. All right, so we'll do a damage roll for that. It's a 2-inch radius. I believe it's a 1-inch radius for a M1 Garand. But there's nobody, a bolt action rifle, a battle rifle, 1-inch radius on 1d20. However, there's nobody within a 1-inch radius of him. So we'll just roll a damage roll. And 15. Damn. All right, NCO is taken out. So as you can see, with the D20 system, you have a little bit more predictability in what's going to happen. But things get bloody pretty fast in this game. So that information that he passed to that guy over there is pretty much not worth anything. So he's just going to go firm and not do anything else. We have these 2 Americans right here. And we have this NCO to activate from the squad. So they're going to think about what they're going to do, because we didn't really expect to snipe the German NCO from the building like that. So give the Americans a second to figure out their strategy. All right, so the American veteran NCO is going to give his 3 action points. He's going to sit there and he's going to do something now. So he's actually going to try to spot. He's got some good stats, and he's just kind of wasting away, farming out his XP. So he's got a spot stat of an 18. He's going to see if he can see the MMG team. The LMG team. The LMG team. All right, so the attacker is higher in concealment. So it's going to be a -8, and they go firm for a -12. So he has 3 XP, -12. He's looking at a 6. So he's going to use 1 XP, or he's going to use 1 AP to give +4 to that stat. Bring him to a -8, so on a 10 he's going to spot. Sees him on a 9, so with his last remaining point, he's going to use his shoot skill of a 14, because he's a veteran NCO. And with his modifiers, he's going to be -8, -12. So a 1 or a 2, but he will put a morale marker on that team. So he does not hit them, but he's going to effectively put a morale marker on them. And we'll get that sorted out here in a minute. I'm just going to take this marker and put it over here. All right, so that was some good shooting by the veteran NCO. All right, so following his lead, we're going to have American soldier here will fire at the German soldier he fired at last turn. He's already spotted him. He's not moving. And they're on the same level. However, the target's behind cover. So it's going to be a -6. He's going to use a point of XP. Well, if he uses a point of XP, he won't be able to take another shot. Yeah, he's going to use a point of XP to make him +4, so -2. So he's going to be hitting on an 8. 9 misses, but does give him another morale marker for taking a shot at him. And with the last remaining XP, he's just going to go firm. And we have the point man up there kind of exposed right now. So he is going to also try to identify Actually, he's going to put a shot up into... He's going to see if he can see the MMG team. Alright, so he's going to use... He has not moved their concealment. However, the concealment is negated by firing a suppressive weapon. So just -2 for being lower. And so he's looking for a 12 to spot them. Hits it with an 11. He spots it. 2 remaining XP. So he's going to pump up his stat by 4 with one of his AP. Sorry, I keep messing up XP and AP. But it's AP, action points. So that's going to bring his stat to a 14. Target is in cover and is a level higher. So it's a -8 modifier. So he's going to be looking for a 6. And he gets it with a 4. Alright, damage roll. 5. Alright, Germans locked out there. Damage roll, hesitant. So they're already hesitant, so they'll remain hesitant. And they'll take another morale marker for being shot at. So that could have been bad for the Germans. So we're going to take a break here, figure out what the Germans are going to do. Well, actually, no, they don't really have an option here. So they have 2 morale markers. So that's going to put them at a -2. And they lost the guy, so -4. So before they can do anything, they're going to try to activate the -4 to the NCO's morale of a 14, as you can see right here. But it's an average NCO, so it's going to go down to a 10 and come back up to a 12. So morale test before they even do anything. 18, fail by 6, and that's not going to be good. So they're going to go firm. They don't have to move because they have the best cover. They get a +4 cover modifier, so they're basically firm. And they can fire on previously spotted enemies at a -4. So that's not the worst roll. They're already pretty much taking those modifiers for hesitant. And I've spent some time looking at the rulebook, and I don't really see anything that says that those modifiers will stack. It doesn't really make sense for them to stack. And actually, there was some debate going on of whether or not that hesitant, after one play turn, will continue to stay on. But since I got it anyways, it's kind of a moot point. So they've already spotted that bar team over in the corner. So they're going to take a shot at that bar team. So they have an 8 -4 to their stat. So their shooting stat's a 14. Bring it down to a 10 before we do any other type of modifiers. So they're higher. So that brings the cover down to 2. And we still haven't put those bar team firm. So yeah, going firm and cover is a big difference. That's a 10-point swing right there, whether or not you'll be able to be hit. So there'd be -2 to their stat skill. Is that what we said? Yep. So -6 for in cover. The attacker's higher +4. Alright, so -2. So looking for a 12. We have 4 XP here. So they're actually going to pump it up because I really want to get this hit on them. So they're using XP to pump it up. Didn't need it with a 4. Alright, they still have 2 XP left. Or, I'm sorry, 2 AP left. So 3 dice for damage. Yep, that's going to do it right there. Yep, so 13 and up is going to be an effective kill. So that bar team will be taken out of action. That tree will fall down because I haven't put a base on it yet. And things are looking pretty bleak here for the American forces. Might have done the modifiers wrong now I think about it for the hesitant roll for -4, but he rolled a 4 and he pumped up his shot. So did a very poor job of explaining it. Sorry for that. Still trying to get a grasp on the rules. There's a lot of things going on here. I like it. Kind of reminds me of Infinity. But it's just maybe a slight bell curve to entry on how to play this game. Definitely different from bolt action. Definitely got to stay in cover and go firm and really take your chances when you can. Because as you can see right here, as it should, it's not really working out for the attacking force, attacking a squad of equal size strength. All right, so clean up the board, and then we'll go on to the next phase. Moved a little bit fast there. So those 2 suppression markers that were on that team is actually going to affect this NCO. So even the NCO wasn't killed, he's still going to have to take a morale test. -12, 13, 14, and then 2, 4, 6. So it's going to be -20. So really he's just looking to see how bad he failed here. because he was part of that team. 3 people of that team have died. So as far as I can tell, he's going to have to take the burden of all that morale and suppression that was on that team. So we're going to roll a dice here. We're just going to do him first, kind of see what happens. He rolls a 6, so it's going to be a minus 14. So he failed by 9 or more. So he is going to be pinned. So for pinned at the beginning of the next combat phase, he needs to take a morale test. Otherwise, he's going to remain in place and not doing anything. And if there's an enemy within 4 inches and clear line of sight, he's going to surrender. So we don't really have to worry about that. But that NCO is pinned, so that's going to take a key activation out for the Americans. And depending on what happens here, we might just call it at turn 3, I think, is what we're at, as the Americans' advance kind of failed. Kind of set up them for failure on this small table, but the purpose of this game was to kind of demonstrate the rules. So what we're going to do here is decide on the actions for the junior NCO. Just kidding, the junior NCO is dead. So yeah, the rifle team's going to have to make some morale tests here. So they lost the guy in -2. And there will be 2 morale markers, 3 morale markers, because that NCO still carries as a morale marker with the team. It doesn't carry with the individual. So 3 morale markers for -3, and losing a man is going to be -2. So it's going to be -5. And their morale is a 12 for being average. So -5, 12. Well, I'm not good at math, but that 15 is not going to help. So they're looking for a 7. So that's a difference of an 8. Withdraw. So the level of fire is such that the element is forced to withdraw back from the positions. Must move back a full 12 inches until they can no longer draw a line of sight to the enemy. If this is not possible, they have to draw without. If not possible to withdraw the line of sight, then the element is treated as pinned. So I think the way that it's set up, that they can totally withdraw, but that is going to turn things in an unexpected way for the Germans. All right, let me go figure that out, and then we'll get back to the table. All right, so as you can see, the Germans withdrew from their position, went behind this house. And that German in the forest over there, he's hanging out with his buddy behind the shed. So the Americans might have a chance here. It's going to be worth at least playing it out another turn to see if they can now press this advantage. The only issue is, the only guys left to activate is the scout, who can pretty much move with impunity because everyone else has acted. So I think that scout is going to make a mad dash forward. No, actually, now that I think about it, we're going to shoot. He's going to shoot. No, he's going to go forward. We need to start getting into these buildings and move up, because that MG team is going to kill everybody. All right, so he's going to move up, and then we'll start turn 4. All right, so the start of turn, I think this is turn 4 now. The Americans are going to activate their veteran NCO with the rifle squad, giving them a seasoned troops card. So it's going to make them ignore the first suppression marker, which is going to be huge. And then for the Germans, activating is the rifle team. So we'll go on and make those activations for the Americans. All right, so the American squad moved up. Pretty much everyone went to cover, went firm. The only guy who didn't go firm is that American soldier there on the corner of that road. However, his senior NCO here, hanging a little bit too far back, so 3 moves wasn't going to get him into hard cover. Wasn't going to get him any cover. So we actually gave one of his AP over here, so he can go firm. However, the Germans drew a tactic card, a doctrine card called Contact. So we're going to zoom in on that, and that's basically a free interrupt. So take a look at that. So this is going to be used in the MG team, and they're going to get 2 action points, and at any point they can choose to, any point during the move, just like an interruption, they can choose to interrupt and shoot. So they have not spotted that NCO. And he's kind of caught out in the open. So they're going to use this contact card to spot him. All right, so sorry for that. All right, so they're going to be -2 to their skills because they're hesitant. And they're going to try to spot him running through the fields. So target is moving, it's going to be a +4 to spot. +4 because the attacker is higher, so +8. But that's in concealment. So +2. +2 to spot. So we're going to roll dice here, and we're going to see what happens. All right, average squad, +2 to spot. It's going to be on an 18. So they spot him on a 10. They got him. Now they're going to take a firepower to do our shooting modifiers. Target is moving, so it's -4. So easier to spot, harder to hit. Target is not in cover. Attacker is higher. So that +4 -4 is going to just wipe out. And this could be the end here for the senior NCO. So let's see what happens. So their firepower is at 14. That's a successful firepower roll of an 11. However, seasoned troops, so they're going to ignore that first suppression token. They will take a morale marker, though, for being shot at. And I've kind of lost place of all my morale markers, so we'll put that upside down right there. So he's just in the open by himself. So these 3 shots are going all to him. Oh, almost escaped with his life. So that 13 is going to kill him. All right, that 13 is going to kill him. All right, so we'll pick him up and do the German activation after that. All right, so just wanted to clarify what happened, because I did make a small mistake the last time the MG team fired, and it killed the bar team. So the 3 dice that we roll here, you get one of those results, and you take the highest of the result. So for example, that LMG team shot the NCO in the open, got a 13 or higher and killed him. So that previous roll, when I had 2 guys left and I rolled 3 dice and they were all 13 and up, only 1 guy would technically die. So technically that bar team is still there. It would be pinned anyways, because the last activation, the junior NCO activated with it. So we're going to put that model back, and we're going to continue driving on here. Would have 0 effect, but I did want to point out that mistake. So when you roll your damage dice, you have the 3 dice, and you get 1 result out of that. Now, if in that frontage of 3x2 for an LMG, there was 3 guys that were affected by it, then each guy would roll 3 dice and take that damage. That's how I understand that. So that's the power of the LMG. It's not that you get to roll more dice, which can give you a better result, obviously, and then you can affect multiple miniatures with those 3 different rolls for each miniature in the effective area. So I'm going to make those changes and we'll get back to the game. All right, so with the German Rifle Squad activation, this guy right here on the left, you can see he can have direct line of sight to the lowest portion of that squad. So he's going to take a shot into that rifleman. He's going to take actually, he's in a new location. And while he's in the open, kind of caught in the open, you get down there, model's eye view. He's caught in the open, however the American soldier is not. So he's going to have to spot him. We're going to roll the dice. Roll was a 7. And when you add all the modifiers, target was moving in concealment, so it's -2. So that's going to be good. He's going to see them. He was looking for a 14, got a 7. So he sees him. He's going to take a shot at him, and he's going to add 1 to his shot here. He's going to add a +4 to a shot using an AP. So that is going to give him +4, which is going to negate the -4 for the target moving. However, the target is in cover and has gone firm. So he has a 12, so in cover and gone firm, -10. So with an 8, not going to be able to kill him, but he's going to be able to put a morale token on him. So morale token goes on him. Over here, we are going to try to spot, I don't know if you can see it, if I can get this angle. Those guys are kind of shooting each other there. So he's going to see if he can see them. He's gone firm behind cover, and the attacker is moving. So this is going to be really hard. This is going to be a 2. So he's going to use his remaining AP to make it a 6. Fails on a natural 20. So he does nothing. So he just kind of dirtles. And over here, we'll see how this looks. You can see that guy right there. All right, so not in the open. And he had the move to get there. So he's going to be minus 10, minus 14. So he's going to need a 2 as well. So he's going to pump that up and see if he can get a 6. Gets a 7. So a very ineffective turn there, phase there for the rifle team. All right, we'll see if we can get this heavy weapons team unpinned, this bar team unpinned, and get them moving. Because that MG team is going to have a chance to activate again because they activated on the contact doctrine card. So we'll go back and see what happens this phase. All right, so the Germans, all they have left to activate is their MG team, MG42 team, and we'll see if the Americans over here. So they're in cover, so they're going to get a +2 to their roll. So it's going to make the junior NCO morale of a 15. And then plus he's a junior NCO, so 17. So morale is 17. They get it. All right, that was close. So they're not pinned. They can activate as normal. They're going to... They have 4 activations. He has 4 activation points. And we're going to see right here what negative modifiers there's going to be him for activating without his crew. Shouldn't need it with a 1918 bar. Let me just double check that. All right, so this is why we read the rule book. So a crew can continue to operate until they hit 50% casualties, under 50% casualties. So with that one guy left, the bar is removed from the game. So even though that roll only inflicted 1 casualty on 2 models, it's a 3-man crew reduced to 1 man. So that team is effectively eliminated. Doesn't affect that dice roll that happened 1 second ago there for the NCO to become unpinned. So only that NCO can activate. Yeah, so that NCO can activate. He's going to move up there to get behind the boxes and go firm, get some hard cover, see if he can try to get sucked into the fight here. So very roundabout way of doing the rule set there. The initial decision was the correct one, but the intentions, or actually the reasoning was wrong. But yeah, so that crew was reduced beyond 50% of its starting capabilities, starting manpower, so it's removed from game. All right, so we'll activate the German MG team here after we move the NCO and get this battle wrapped up. All right, the German MG team is going to activate. What's going to happen is they're still hesitant. As far as I understand, they're still hesitant from the fire that they took. Look back in the rule book, didn't see anything that would stay. Like at the end of the turn, you remove all those markers. So actually what we'll do is we'll just make them take a morale test. We'll know, because if they fail the morale test, that could be detrimental to this turn. All right, so we're going to play them as hesitant, but I don't think it's going to matter because they have enough action points to kind of reduce that. So the NCO on the first floor is going to try to spot that. Actually, before that, the MG is going to shoot. So those 2 U.S. soldiers right there within 3 inches of each other. So the MG42 is going to try to spot and shoot them. So he's going to be a +8, -2, or -6. So he's going to be a +2 to spot. And his spot is a 16. So he's going to spot an 18. And then if we were to take the hesitant roll, I'd put him at a 16. 19. So either way, that would have been a fail. So he's down to 3 activations left. We're going to do that same thing. It does not cost extra to do this multiple times. All right, so he sees him with a 12. All right, so he has 2 activation points left. So he's just going to take a shot at them. And he's going to pump that shot up. So that's going to negate the target moving. But he is higher in target and cover, so it's going to be -2 total. -2 to 14 is 12. So 1 shot on 12. And then we'll take the hesitant in there, so 10. Either way, they miss on a 15. So I guess that's the gaming gods helping me out here, trying to figure out whether or not the hesitant would go away. So that is going to give them another token. So they have... Actually, that will give them a suppression token. Because that's an LMG, it's going to give a suppression token. They didn't get the suppression token from the last one because they got the seasoned troops rule. So you have 1 suppression token on them and 1 morale token on them. So the NCO has 3 activations left. I didn't want to shoot the NCO first because I wanted to see if I can hit them. That would have gave 2 different damage rolls to both of those miniatures. So the NCO is going to try to spot that soldier right there. Not going to do it on a 17. Gonna try again. 6, he's going to get it on a 6 because with all the modifiers, it's going to put him at a 10-8. So he gets it with a 6. So now he's going to try to make a firepower roll of 12. 6. Firepower is going to be a 4. So 9. He doesn't hit, but it's going to put another morale marker on them. So just really trying to pin that squad down right there. Alright, we'll come back and we'll activate. Actually, the only guy left to activate here. That junior NCO ran up. The scout's the only thing left this turn, so the scout's going to activate. He can see him. Or actually, he's in his line of sight, can't see him. Has to spot him first. Hasn't spotted him yet. So we'll see if he spots him. Rolls a 9. That target moved. And it was behind, so it'll be -2 to his roll. And his roll is a 16. Oh, even better. His is an 18. So he spots. Scouts can definitely spot a lot better. Look at this scout card right here. You can see that compared to average NCO, average soldiers. Scouts can spot better, and then they get additional modifiers if they have not fired. So actually, he was going on a 22, which is pretty good. Before modifiers, obviously, his starting stat was 22. Alright, so he sees him. He has 2 action points left. So he's going to use 1 to give +2 to this attack. I'm sorry, +4 to this attack. So his +4 is going to negate the target moving, but the target's in cover, so it's going to be -6. So he's looking for a 6. 6 or lower. Gets it with a 5. And then 2d6. We're going to take the highest result here. 9 is the highest. So that's going to be pinned. So that squad will be pinned. And I think at that point, that will end turn 4. Alright, beginning turn 5. Things are looking pretty bad. Germans have a building. It's 100 points. They have the infantry set up to stop the US from getting into their 2 buildings. And they have a 30-point lead on victory points. 100 points for the buildings. So controlling the buildings is what's going to win this game at this point. So beginning at turn 5, US has chosen riflemen. And the Germans have chosen their machine gun team. Machine gun team is going to take a shot at the same German soldier the same US soldier they've been shooting at. But so the go firm is going to be negated for the +4, -4 modifiers. So the target's just going to be in cover, and they're going to spend an additional AP to try to juice this shot up. So it's going to be a -2 overall for the cover bonus. Looking for a 12. They get it with a 10. Alright, so it's going to be 3 dice of firepower onto them right there. 15, so that's going to take him out. And the area, it's an area weapon, so 3x2. So you can see here, 3 inches just gets that guy out, but 3 inches puts that guy in, and 2 inches back, nobody's there. But that's the effectiveness of a light machine gun. Alright, so then this guy's going to take the hits, and there's a 15 right there. So that's going to take him out of commission. So that's going to be an additional suppression token onto this US squad, and then an additional -4 for 2 of those guys dying. German NCO at this point can't do anything, and he is an average NCO, so he's actually going to give 2 action points to that infantry squad right there. Right, so the US are going to make their test. They're going to have a -12 for 2 suppressions, -4 for losing 2 guys, and then 1, 2 for each of those tokens from last turn. So it's only a -18. -18, and they're novice. But they're in cover. So it's going to be -16 with a morale of 8. So no matter what they did there, rolled an 8. It's going to be greater than 9, so that squad's going to be pinned. Alright, so they failed the morale test. They're going to be pinned. And that's going to be their turn 5, turn 6. They might be able to activate. So they'll have to take a morale test just to see if they can get unpinned. So that was an unfortunate turn of events for the Americans. Losing that senior NCO, that veteran NCO right there, made that novice squad a lot more exposed. Alright, so we'll go to the next activation. Alright, next phase. Junior NCO against the Rifleman. Alright, equal. At this point in the game, they're just going to roll off for it. So the Rifleman, 6 and a 3. So the Rifleman are going to activate first. So what's going to happen with them? They're going to take a morale test. They're going to be -2 their morale, but they're behind cover, so that negates. And they have to take a morale test for the pinned marker they got last turn. Alright, so they pass on a 4, so they can activate as normal. And there's not a lot for them to do. So this guy is going to fire at the scout that he's been firing at. They can continue that firefight. He's going to pump up +4 to his 8. He's taking an AP point to pump that up. So this is going to be 2 AP for this shot. So it's going to be -2 for attackers going to be in cover. So 14, and he was looking for a 12. That's not going to do it. It's going to miss, but it's going to give him token, and everybody else is going to go and take a... Actually, they're guys going to get out of order, or they're going to get behind cover and kind of hide out here. All they can really do is get into trouble. So they're going to go hide out, get out of line of sight, make themselves not targets, and we'll put a morale marker on that scout right there, and then he'll have to take activation. He'll take a morale test before he can activate, and we'll come right back to that. So the junior NCO is going to activate. He's going to try to spot the MG team. They've gone firm, and they're in a higher elevation, and they are also in concealment. So it's going to be -12 the spot, but they fire a suppressive weapon to bring it back to -6. So this would be a 10-up roll as a 50% odds. So he is going to use an additional AP to bring it to a 14. Does not get it on a 16, and then that's about it. He's got 1 AP left, so he can try it again on a 12. Rolls a 16 again, can't see it, and that's it. That's all they can do. Actually, we have the scout left. There's no German activation, so the scout's going to activate by himself. He's going to take a shot at the German right there. Let's see if they can continue that firefight. First thing he's going to have to do is take a morale test. -1 for the morale token. Morale of a 12. +2 for being behind cover. -1 for the token. So gets it on a 13. Just barely gets it. So he's going to take a shot. He's going to give +4 to his AP here, so you can just ring the shot home. Alright, so it's going to be -6. +4, so -2 to his total AP, or to his total shoot value. So looking for a 12. Nope, 16, doesn't get it. And that's going to be it. Nothing left for the American forces to do. There's only 4 models left on the board. 1 is pinned. Germans in the building. Germans own the intersection still. Very cool rule set. I made a couple mistakes along the way, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully as I start getting these down and getting a better understanding of this game, they'll go a little bit smoother, but I wanted to do a playthrough. There's some very unique mechanics in this game, and I really think there's some depth to do very small scale tactical squad based actions, especially if you're doing like a narrative campaign, and then linking that with a bolt action or chain of command campaign. All right, I hope you enjoyed this battle report, first of many. This one was kind of rough for the first battle report. Had a little camera malfunction in the beginning and the end there, so please bear with that. And stumbled through the rules a little bit. There's a lot of depth to this rule set, which I like. And the modifiers might seem a little harsh, but it's a lot like Infinity, and I really think after a while these things are very set in stone of what they are, and you'll be able to work out the modifiers. And just like Infinity, it's just about getting the modifiers to go in your favor before you take your shot, rather than some of the other games for World War II, you're just kind of pushing and pushing and pushing, and terrain is nice and movement is nice and doing actual unit tactics is nice, but at the end of the day, it's a dice game. This is not the case. You kind of saw it right here. Americans had a kind of haphazard advance. Germans were in the better position, equal size force, assaulting a defending force, not what they would do. Would try to get 3-to-1 odds in a force like this, and it worked out exactly how you think it would, with a defending force having equal strength to attacking force. All right, so great game. Hopefully we'll see some more of this, and hopefully we'll get some more battle reports out. Thanks for watching.